one, go.
Welcome into Inside Press Box. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Press Box and PressBoxOnline.com. And with me, as usual on Thursday, is Eric at Eric underscore Birdland. He works for the Florida Prospects Report and does some stuff with Press Box, and he knows the Orioles system inside and out. Eric, I know you didn't get to watch the game. You know that the Orioles won 7-6 in 10 innings. It was a 6-0 lead with Corbin Burnes on the mound. And believe it or not, manager Brandon Hyde, because his pitch count was so low, let him start the eighth inning,
Oh, wow.
got the first guy out, and then the second guy got on, and then he took him out, and Jake Webb was on, and I had a Zoom I had to do at 2:45 with a lady from Prince George's County, experienced Prince George's County, the PR arm of the county. And as it happened, it was 6-1. Josh Bell hit a home run in the sixth, I think, or seventh. But in the eighth, all hell broke loose. Webb let up a couple runs, and then Craig Kimbrell. I don't know exactly what was wrong, but neither he or Cano could stem the tide.
Oof.
Cano, though, did come in and get the last out. I think he let one guy got a hit off of him, I think, but he retired a guy with men on first and third. The crazy play to me, and I know you didn't see it, so it's unfair, but
That's
they
all right.
had in the 10th, they had runners. The phantom runner got the third. I forget how he got the third, but Mullins stole second. I think he was pinch running for Santander. Mountcastle hit a single into shallow right field.
Okay.
Clearly, the runner on third's going to score. And I said, boy, that's good, way too shallow for Mullins to try and score. And the camera went back, and you see him, and he's going to be out by like 10 feet. And I'd hate to say it on my behalf because I'm wrong sometimes, but it looked to me like Tony Mansolino was like frozen, wasn't telling him to stop or go. Mullins was determined to go, you could tell, but Mansolino, and when you see the replay, the ball is really in shallow right field when he's just getting the third base. Now, if the guy makes a terrible throw, he scores, but he
Okay.
made a good throw and he was out by 10 feet. It was, and on top of it, Mountcastle got doubled off
Oof.
going to second base. And
Okay.
that's how the top of the 10th ended. The Orioles then brought in Cionel Perez. They had the phantom
Oof.
runner on second.
Couple
And I
days in a
know
row.
he struck out a couple batters. He was really electric today,
It's
Perez. Now tell us about your experience out at the FCL stadium today. Was that at Ed Smith?
Today's FCL finale was at Ed Smith. It sounded like what you were just describing was very FCL-ish. That's how
Yeah.
our games usually go. Today did not. It was just a very, very tired and by far the hottest game of the year. The Orioles fell 1-0 to the Twins. Neither of them are going to the playoffs. So after the game was over, they all met in the middle of the field, gave each other hugs, did like some type of prayer and took pictures. So the FCL is officially over, and my skin is thankful, and I am thankful for that
How hot
update. I had no idea how the Oriole game went, so now I know.
how hot was it?
Field temperatures today were 119. 119. Give me credit. I was out there for almost 3 hours.
How much water did you drink?
I went through four 20-ounce Gatorades, one 16-ounce Gatorade, and I had a bottle of water walking in, 16 ounces. So a lot, a lot, a lot.
And I know you're in good shape, but is the sugar is not a problem? Was it Gatorade zero, or was it regular Gatorade?
I do not drink coffee. I do not eat candy. Gatorade is how I get my sugar. I know it's less than fully healthy, but I
Whew.
don't I don't
All
like
right,
drinking
I
water
understand.
when I'm burning hot.
Okay,
I want to feel the electrolytes.
okay.
Gatorade, feel free to sponsor me. Nobody drinks more of your product in the summertime than I do.
I drink a tremendous amount of zero Gatorade.
Let's get in
And
touch with these people.
the zero Gatorade, I've been tired lately. I don't drink the lime, the yellow, green. I drink
Okay.
orange or fruit punch.
Okay.
They've now come out. I don't know how long it's been out, but I just discovered it. They have a grape now
They
that
do. It's been out for a while down
it's
here.
absolutely terrific.
Right.
Now
It
I
is good.
water down even my Gatorade Zero. I drink half of that in a glass. So half water, half Gatorade Zero. Um, you've got a couple players you wanted to talk about from this FCL team. The team itself was
Mm-hmm.
not particularly impressive this year. They
Mm-hmm.
finished sixth or seventh place.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me a little bit about this pitcher that pitched today. I know you sent me one pitch from today's game, and the
Mm-hmm.
guy's name is Yelber Cartaya.
Yebar,
Yebar
Yeiber, Cartaya, and he's
Cartaya.
a little bit of a different case than what the Orioles normally feature in the FCL. He's about 2 years older than average. He's
Okay.
21, will turn 22 in January. This is a tall, skinny right-hander with long fingers, long arms, and he uses all of those fingers and arms to put either heavy spin on one kind of breaking ball, or
Or
the one I
movement.
sent you was
Or
kind of
movement.
like a almost like a change up release bender that has a one break down into the strike zone. So he's a very effective breaking ball dominant pitcher. I think he has 60 innings in his first, or 60 strikeouts in his first 40 professional innings. So good K per nine average too.
Is that body type sounds a little like a slightly skinnier version of Yanier Cano?
Okay, yeah, and
I'm not
also
talking about the stuff now. I'm talking about the
no,
body type.
and also the delivery. Cano is someone who really has good extension, but Cartaya is, I would say, about an inch and a half taller, which means a slightly longer limbs. He's the best pitcher and the best strikeout pitcher in the FCL. So from what I've seen, including today, he went 4 innings and had 5 strikeouts. This guy is ready for the single A hitter that Delmarva is going to face. I'd like to see him finish the year in the Eastern Shore.
So you think he'll be there by like next week,
Uh,
or will they
I,
give him a little blow?
I think maybe a week of exercise, lifting, and no games, and then get back into what his rotation of use will be. Either if it's starting every fifth or sixth day, or getting hot in the bullpen, maybe every 4 or 5 days. I think he's at the acumen level of early development where he's shown his stuff already, and he's more than a little ready for the next challenge, and that's single A.
Do you see him? And I know it's awfully early to project this because you accurately kind of portrayed how they'll use him at this point. But do you think he's got the makeup of a starter one day, or do you think he's a late inning, seventh, eighth, or ninth inning guy?
Absolutely says everything that I've seen and filmed says starter. And he's
Okay.
good, great. I know this doesn't answer your question. Great defender. Today, he paused after catching a bouncer and started a double play with a perfect throw. Good pickoff move. But really, the thing that I'm looking at for starter or non right now is endurance. Can you do that, sit up and get down and get up again in the 115 plus degree heat? Today, he did it 4 times. I've seen him do it 6 times. So those are the starter-ish qualities that he presents. Really,
Do,
really very interesting and inexpensive signing.
do you think he's a guy could have gone longer today if it had been 85 to 90 degrees? You think he
Uh,
went four because it was 119 on the field?
well, I think that he went for, yes, but I think that they also had another pitcher that's kind of like him, maybe a little bit of a poor man strikeout
Yeah.
getter. That's Brian Bautista. Brian Bautista got 9 outs, 0 base runners, 6 of them were strikeouts, and I have an amazing video of his changeup kind of just stopping in the air. So those are really. He's also another righty. Those are the two strikeout guys. So 4 innings for Yeber, 3 innings for Brian Bautista, and there's your FCL season.
All right, I got a couple more players on that team I want to talk to you about, but I got so excited talking to you about the Oriole game that I forgot to read the opening ads. Okay. We're brought to you by the Costas Inn, and you'll hear a little bit more later on in this show. Um, we're also brought to you by AJ Michaels, expert and award-winning AJ Michaels heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and home performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. Also, they can kill all allergens that are in your viruses and allergens that are in your system, make you eligible for a $6,000 rebate. The AC season is still here. It's on our back. And there are new rebates and discounts available. More at ajmichaels.com. That's AJ Michaels slash Carrier, the big guys. Are you craving that classic New York deli experience? Well, look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand rolled bagels, and something different. A bar. Atman's has food and drink specials every day of the week, now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. That would be tomorrow night at, I think, 7 o'clock is tomorrow night's game time
Yep.
against the San Diego Padres.
Yep.
By the way, they got a no hitter today from Dylan Cease
Yep.
against the
Congratulations.
Nationals. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find them at Harbor Point or visit Atman's Deli. And Harbor Point, just so you know, is basically right next to Fells Point. It's really close to Fells Point.
Kind of
I
miss
don't
it.
know the streets well enough down there to say,
Ooh.
but it's sort of like if you get to Fells Point down Broadway and drive to the end of Fells Point and make a right,
Yep.
you get
Right
over
there.
to Harbor Point. It's really a unique place. This Atman's Deli there. They really have done a beautiful, beautiful job, and you can pick up a press box there. All right. So back to the Orioles at the Florida Complex League level, and we're going to talk also a little bit about Chayce McDermott. We're going to talk about this injury to Jorge Mateo and the trade deadline. Connor Norby, by the way, hit a home run today. Anthony Santander hit a home run to start in the first inning. So the Orioles get away with a win and finish 3-3 on this road trip to Texas. Not exactly what you want after thrashing the Rangers the first two games and then have a 3-game losing streak in there. But they got the win today, and they play a tough Padre team coming to town with a guy, forget his name. He used to play for the Orioles.
Same initials, first name, last name.
Like Mickey Mantle, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Manny Machado. Okay. He's pretty rich. Not having a great year, but he's pretty rich. Tell me about favorites. Outfielder Ellis Cuevas.
Okay. He is ultra aggressive. This is the one guy who's there to play the game hard. That way, he reminds me of original Vladimir Guerrero. Every slide, going full out on every single rep. And he does it before the game in practice too. They only had 5 guys that qualified for the batting title. So only really 5 guys that had 100 or more at bats. And he ended up with 13 extra base hits, 6 over the wall home runs, 32 steals, and 3 outfield assists, all of them at home plate. This is
how old is he, and what position is his best outfield position?
Okay, Cuevas is 19 years old. He is a center fielder / right fielder, but I think when he finishes his pro style weight gain, he's going to be a corner type, kind of like a Rosarena, a guy that can hit a lot, be very clutch, offensively do every single thing required, and throw people out that try to pick up an extra base. So Cuevas is the most aggressive / most exciting player. Another guy, he is totally ready for Delmarva. That's a lot of times on base, a lot of runs scored. Yeah. He does everything. and he was like the team leader, kind of a quiet guy off the field, but on the field, very aggressive, almost like angry.
You gotta not. Yeah, I don't need exact numbers, but if you guess, what was his strikeout to walk? Any idea?
I do know he was about 25 strikeouts and about 20. It's very similar, very
So it's
similar.
like 52-48 or something
I'm
like.
going to look it up right now, but I know he was an aggressive type of
Well, I don't mind the
hit.
20 some strikeouts in 100 at bats if the walks are up there at 20.
21 walks, 25 strikeouts.
That's not bad. That's not
No,
bad.
and he kind of slumped the last three games. I think he went 1 for 10. He ended the season batting 271. Without that slump, he would have ended right at or right under 300. So, numbers are always liquid, they're always changing. But again, the numbers are the least important, most aggressive, most electric, really best skilled player in this lineup.
Was he a high priced signing or a underpriced signing?
Not seven
International,
figures, six figures. So I
like a
guess what that means is there were other priorities in his class that
yep.
were slightly looked at as better or more projectable right then. This is the time where your play can confirm or maybe raise questions to that, and he's worth more than he signed for. That's very
Okay.
clear right now.
Tell me about infielders Edwin Amparo and Luis Almeida.
Now Almeida is
Wasn't
a
Almeida the guy, the villain in 24, who first worked with Kiefer Sutherland, Jack
I do
Bowers?
I think he did have a name that started with A and ended
It
with
was
an A,
Almeida.
but
It was
I
Almeida.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, it wasn't this guy because he was, I think, 14 or 15 years old, or maybe even younger. But he is a very, very tall, and he was skinny, 165 last year. Now he's in the 205, 207, 250. Right. He gained a lot of weight, lifting weights, and it's impacted his contact here. His batting average ended at exactly 200. This is not a 200 type of hitter. This is a high offensive productivity guy, long, lean, uses his limbs, electric transfer on the run at shortstop, and a lot of power at the plate. Amparo is the really, I don't, he's the one that the scouts ask me about the most, walking in or walking out. The player that he reminds me of, and I watch these guys a ton more than anybody else. Then I go home and I watch them on video again and again. The guy that he moves like is Roberto Alomar. Very, very smooth at second base. No wasted movement. Can accelerate.
Makes it in a way it's so easy that he
So,
looks like he's not trying
it
in
looks
a
like
way.
he makes the hardest plays that way. One where he's stealing second and he's about to be out. I have slow mo video of him getting to the bag and just reaching around the tag at the last moment, right in front of the umpire, so to make sure that he could be called safe. It's these type of things that he's clutch. He won a game with a walk off 2 times. He's a great contact hitter and a switch hitter with good speed. His problem is he's only about 5'9" and he's not getting any taller. But scouts from 3 different organizations have either told me they like him or asked me should they like him, and I tell why. So I have a feeling he's going to be looked at like Leandro Arias that Delmarva's looked at as a piece to add into other deals. His numbers aren't shiny, but this is an excellent, excellent, and fully confident baseball player. He probably would have been named the team's MVP if it wasn't Cuevas.
Okay. And this is Amparo you're talking.
Amparo, little guy.
Yep.
Almeida,
Okay.
big guy. Almeida's like 6'3", 6'4".
The 200 batting average by Almeida, which you say is a productive hitter, and I take your word for it, is some of it from not being used to being 200? That he's a little muscle bound, or what do you think?
Okay, I would say no to that. He's
Okay.
fine. They do a great job with the trainers of flexibility, dexterity, all that type of stuff. He wouldn't be on the field if he couldn't do that. I'm gonna say that there was some adjustments with his swing that the team required. He kind of fought back a little bit, and now they're at a place where they're both satisfied with the results and
They're on the
what
same
it looks
page.
like. Plus, they wanted him to be very, very aggressive, swing a lot because you only have so many at bats. He only got, I think, 153 for the year, and he kind of needed a little bit more. So swing a lot. Let's see what happens when you make contact. And guess what? He batted 200, which isn't good, but he had a 15.7 walk percentage while his team is telling him to be aggressive, which is very good and kind of a predictor of
No
longer
question
term
about it.
success when the sample size increases. This is not a guy you're going to look at and think of as a 200 hitter. Nobody will. I'm going
Okay.
to make sure I have enough video to prove it also.
Okay. And all this video will be at Eric underscore Birdland on X.
I'll have it up on X and I'll have it on my Instagram page, which is Eric underscore Birdland 22.
Okay. Sounds good.
A
Sounds good.
lot.
There's a catcher named Miguel Rodriguez that you like.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about him.
Yes. He was the nucleus glue type of player. The one guy that everybody cheered for. No conflict. Very positive. Very upbeat. Again, not super tall, but this is a high contact catcher. The one 300 hitter they had, he hit 308. He's about 5'10", 180. So he's in good shape, and he might even get a little bit bigger, maybe in the just below 200-pound range, but bat control, high on base, excellent strike zone judgment, and he's the one guy that hit 300. I don't think he's the best defensive catcher on the roster, but he threw enough people out and showed an adequate enough arm where he's probably going to stick at catcher. 20 walks, 18 strikeouts all year for Miggy. That's an everyday player striking out only 18 times. That's not bad at all.
Let's jump from the Florida Complex League and just remind me, how many games did they play? I thought I had read they play 60 some games.
60 are scheduled. I believe that they lost 3 to rain this year. So, oh no, 2 to rain. So their final record will be 58 games. They would have made them up if they were near playoff range, but they're
Gotcha.
about they've been 8 or 10 games away from the playoffs for the majority of the season. So 58 games,
Okay.
really hot.
And they will that league will come back in again next year around June the 1st, roughly.
I believe opening day 2025 has already been scheduled. It's June 5th.
Okay.
But there might be another league happening in a couple weeks. Fall instructs start in September. There's a playoff prospect camp, which I won't be invited to. When they have the taxi squad for the playoffs, it's all prospects come down. So there's always action. There's always something at the complex, really year round. It's one of the reasons why I'm not moving away from here.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's jump up to last night. Chayce
Mm-hmm.
McDermott made his major league debut. And while the net result, I thought he was more polished than Povich was his first start. Uh, did something similar, walked a couple guys and gave up a 3-run homer.
He had that one bad inning
Yep.
where you're just waiting for him to get out of it. He's in a 2-strike count. You're waiting for him to throw that third strike, and it just didn't work out like
Yep.
it's working out in AAA this year. And going by the numbers and some of the metrics, it's really working out in AAA. I think what we got was not like closure from the Trey Mancini trade or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we got is an introduction to a very close to major league ready athlete. He has to
Yep.
find his role, and he has to do what he did last night about 5 to 10 more times before we either know if he's ready to stick or if he's going to go back down and stick at AAA. I believe they've already sent him back down.
Yes, they optioned him this morning. They
So his
optioned
next
him
start is
this
probably
morning.
going to be at Norfolk.
I would think his next start would be at Norfolk. It'd be interesting to me if Povich comes back up for one start before a trade perhaps is made. I don't know what exactly they're working on or anything like that. I know that you have some contacts throughout the baseball world, and I'm not asking you to break any confidence, Do you hear that the Orioles are close on anything, Eric?
Uh, from what I don't know about closeness, but I know, I guess, who other teams are looking for from our roster. And if you,
And let me just
uh,
jump in. That's what I think Mike Elias's issue is. I
yeah,
don't think they want to trade Mayo. I don't think they want to trade Basayo. And I don't think they want to trade Jackson Holiday. What of the guys left over can really bring you anything of great? You're not going to get Garrett Crochet or Dylan Beavers and Connor Norby. You know, uh, I think Norby has a little value, more than a little value. I think he's solid. But so that's his dilemma to me is he's got this group that he doesn't want to touch and he wants to deal off of all this other stuff in the minor leagues. Now all of a sudden you're hearing Mountcastle's available, Mullins is available. So you're about to tell us who teams are really looking at.
I, the Orioles want to open up space somehow. Corner or outfield is the best way to do it. I have a feeling their preference would be to deal Mountcastle and his contract slash career status away
Yeah.
and start new with that spot. I don't think that's what other teams are trying to do. From what I'm hearing and what I'm talking to with people directly, that other teams want Westberg very badly. And the packages to start off talks or to start off negotiations were damn good. I mean, real good. They're the kind that are going to start talks and get texts and Zooms responded to. And that was about 72 hours ago. Since then, the offers are on fire, flaming, about as good as you can get. So I can't predict if he's going to get traded or not. I don't
Yeah, I
know the
understand that.
decision makers, but I'm telling you, other teams are throwing vets and prospects to get Jordan Westberg right now. Right now, where we are right now, it's Thursday. It's getting hard to hold on to him.
So if and I'm not saying you're predicting it, you're just saying what teams really want, and that makes sense. That makes a great deal of sense to me because I don't find Mullins and Mountcastle particularly attractive to other teams.
Even together.
Yeah, and I don't think like Beavers and Stowers are going to bring. I still have faith in them, but I don't think they bring you anything great. Maybe an Eric Fetty for Stowers and Beavers or something like that. But you're not getting the impact pitcher. So Westberg, um, it's interesting because that would open up a spot for Mayo.
And that's kind of what I personally want. But what you just said is, we want to trade all our appetizers away. Every appetizer, give them away, give the garnishment. The other team is like, hey, give me one main course, and
Right.
I'll give you five prospects
Right.
and a vet. So
Right.
that's where it's going right now. We're a couple days from figuring out how it's going to land, but a team like Houston, Westberg is from Texas. They have long-term vets that are going to be either retiring or really ending their careers or moving on. Altuve, Bregman. They need this 500 or 600 at bat linchpin, and I'm telling you, this might be the cheapest way to get a really good one in Jordan Westberg. They
So
didn't draft him, but the Orioles are running out of space to play all these people.
yeah,
So if that
they
is the
have an
scenario that
embarrassment of riches in a way, and it's really not healthy when you have this much
that's a
in
good
the
way to
way.
put it.
Let
Right.
me ask you a question. Is it possible that Mike Elias is playing checkers, chess, to others playing checkers, or us thinking about? Is he perhaps thinking of the Westberg deal brings me back a lot of young ammunition, and maybe I use some of our ammunition, our own, and some of that, but also end up with more young players in the system again?
I've not been able to really identify a pattern with him yet. Anything is
I didn't
possible.
state that. I didn't state that right. I meant he gets back some young players and maybe one guy that helps us this year, up at the major league level, and then uses maybe one or two of those pieces with a Beavers and Stowers, and all of a sudden now he's got four guys for a, not a crochet, but somebody next tier.
I'm glad you re-explained it. So we can trade for usable plus an enhancer for now or for the future. Yeah, I think I would actually expect something like that to happen, where the initial reports are, this prospect's going to go to Aberdeen or this prospect's going to go to Bowie, when in actuality, this prospect's going to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks for one of their established bullpen pieces. So I think you laid out a scenario that's very reasonable, but I just haven't been able to see enough trades, enough transactions at the deadline. We're
I,
about like 3 to 5 away from me being able to identify a pattern with
I
with
would,
Elias, but
I
he's
would,
won some and he's lost some. That we
I,
can firmly establish.
I no question about it. I would, but so far he hasn't really given up much in any of the deals. The worst deal he made, the best deal he made was signing McCann and getting the Mets to pay about 8-9 million a
I think
year
it's
for
seven and a
2 years.
half to 8 in that range.
Yeah. I mean, they ended up paying McCann. McCann was owed about 18 for two
Yep,
more years, and they got him for like 2 million a year, I think.
not bad, not bad.
Um, it's an interesting scenario. Let me take a break and tell folks about the Costas Inn. Are your thumbs ready, Eric?
My thumbs are ready.
Can I see them? All right. That's 4 thumbs. On Mondays, we have 6 thumbs, all for the Costas Inn, located at 4100 North Point Boulevard. It is the place if you're thinking of getting together with your family or friends or a combination thereof for crabs. Costas Inn has got them. They're delicious.
Mm.
The recipe they use is just absolutely perfect. Uh, you need to call ahead though at 410-477-1975 to get the sizes available, the actual availability, and the price. So you know what your group can afford and what you're willing to go for crabs. Because the days of just walking into a great crab house like the Costas Inn and saying, "Hey, we want 10 of us, we want 3 dozen crabs."
Mm.
Not, I'm not saying it'll never happen, but it's tough because they order crabs as they need them, and they need them based on reservations. So call ahead to the Costas Inn. Make your crab experience par excellence. Don't forget they got tremendous crab soup, great crab cakes, and nightly specials Monday through Friday. All kinds of different chicken, beef, steaks,
Yeah.
you fish, you name it. The Costas Inn. All right. 4100 North Point Boulevard. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right. There we go. Eric,
Yes.
this Mound Castle, it's interesting. The other day, Luke and I, 2 weeks ago, and Ross, we did who's a player you'd like to see the Orioles trade? And I forget who Luke said, and I forget who Grimsley said,
Luke
but
said Austin Hayes, I bet.
no, who we wanted to get back.
Okay, okay.
Um,
Sorry, Luke.
and I said my pick is a little out of the box. I said my pick right now is pitching in Salt Lake City, and
Oh,
his name is Reed Detmers.
okay.
And this week I've twice had to call Luke because Luke goes, "What do you see in Detmers?" I'm just curious. I looked at his numbers. He's horrible. I remember really liking Detmers. And back in the old days, you're too young to remember when the Orioles acquired a guy like Mike Cuellar. He was
I am.
nothing special. He ended up winning 20 games 4 times for the Orioles, 18 games twice, and I think 16 twice or something like that. Was an amazing winning percentage pitcher. The reason I think Detmers would thrive with the Orioles isn't totally he's a left-handed pitcher. And by the way, he's got an ERA at AAA of I think over 6 this year.
I think it's over 7.
It might be over 7. But
We don't. We're
I
talking about
love that he's
something
still
else.
only 25 years old
Correct.
and he has a really live arm.
Yep.
And I think what happened, he was with one of the worst organizations in baseball. They didn't play defense particularly well. And I think the Orioles defense makes a pitcher that can get the ball over the plate, doesn't have to overthink too much because his defenders will be there for him, despite the way the Orioles played that ninth inning today. But Detmers was listed in the in MLB trade rumors as an like off the radar, and then another story I saw on CBS Sports that he was an under the radar guy. Uh,
Yeah.
to me, Mountcastle for Detmers,
Oh,
I'm down. I'm
I,
down with it.
I mean,
They're the
I,
same player, you know.
I think
Mountcastle's
that
probably 27.
they're very close in value. The Angels will be getting something they want and need in a corner like Mountcastle, even though they have Nolan Shanuel, who's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And we would be getting something that we want and need in a close pitcher that needs some refining, and maybe our high minors and majors is the place to do that, especially for a lefty with a good strikeout percentage. Listen to some of these numbers for Chayce at AAA. When we talk about like the influence that defense have had, his ERA and fielding independent pitching, FIP, exactly the same, 3.96, which is pretty good, but it also shows park factors and defense are not influencing his results because they're pretty above average. Now, this is also very interesting. Chayce has faced 400 batters. These are very round
When you
numbers.
say Chase, who are you talking about? Detmers?
Chayce McDermott
Chase McDermott. Okay, go ahead.
at Norfolk,
Okay.
400 batters faced, 130 have reached base, 130 have struck out, 140 have got out a different way. 75 ground balls, 84 fly balls, only 10 of them home runs, 48 line drives. So everything he's doing is showing I am ready. The minor leagues are not where my current talent belongs. So this is the tough thing to do in a pennant race, and as a contender. He's not a minor leaguer. He's a major leaguer. He doesn't need to get his feet wet. He needs to start getting used and established in the major leagues. And
So so for this
it's a pennant
year,
race.
so for this year, it sounds like he could be like the Michael Bowman of last year, Bauman of last year.
Like a swingman
Yeah,
with upside. So I actually like what Bauman brought to the bullpen when he was good,
yeah.
but McDermott represents a lot closer to a starter profile and maybe somebody with much better strikeout talent. We've got to find out. So I'm
Yeah,
upset
he'll
that
be
he's
back.
back in
He'll be
Norfolk,
back
but
up this year. Yeah.
I'm very eager to see him establishing himself.
So I want a prediction from you. I'm not asking you about the Westberg thing anymore. You put it out there that teams are coming to us for them, and I would expect that. Um, who do you who do give me a profile of what you think we'll do at the deadline?
Well, to me, yeah, the smartest thing is, and really, it's the smartest and most vital thing is acquiring starting pitcher innings. It doesn't have to be Scooble. It doesn't have to be anyone. It has to be 100 innings. So I really think, and it's a name that you said already, Eric Fetty from the White Sox is going to be somebody that's not easy to acquire, but he won't cost a top tier and who we view as a mid tier prospect.
Yeah,
I have a feeling we can get Leandro Arias and another minor league offensive player with a name to the White Sox and have Eric Fetty and his 100, maybe 110 innings be to the Orioles. So I think
remember
that
when you project those innings? Remember they only have 60 games left to play. You
oh,
know,
oh, oh,
the
okay,
days of
so
the All Star
that's an
game being 81 games, they were in the mid 90s when the All Star.
So that's an even better point. They need innings to cover more than we need a superstar, an ace,
I
or a
agree.
1A. Now we do need those things, but I prioritize getting an innings eater type. And Eric Fetty right now is the one on the market that I want.
I like Fetty an awful lot. I give me Fetty and another relief arm. That's what I want. is
And,
another.
and if Chicago is smart, they would look to us. We have the most offensive prospects of whatever type to deal and not affect us adversely. But it would be nice if we could acquire both of those things in the same transaction.
So the deal that supposedly the Dodgers are looking at, White Sox is trying to acquire Crochet, Luis Robert, and Michael Kopech.
Oh wow.
I'll take Fetty and Kopech in the same deal.
The problem with the Dodgers is if you look at their top prospect list, like their lottery area, their top 15,
Yeah,
they're all pitchers and catchers.
yeah.
They have like two position players, but they're very young. They're a lot closer to 15 than one. They're not the guys that are making other teams salivate. So the Dodgers are asking for three like star level veterans, and they're going to have to give back a prospect that they really like.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Bobby Miller or maybe a Bobby Miller and a Miguel Vargas. I don't see the Dodgers getting all three of them in one transaction. It would be nice, but we'll have to
I'd
see.
love to leave Kopech out of it and have the Orioles pick up Fetty and Kopech.
Yeah, that would be
That would be
nice.
a nice one-stop shop. All right, great stuff today, Eric. Great stuff.
Thank
Go
you.
take a cold shower if you haven't already. All
I
right.
have taken a cold and a hot, and I'm going to take a cold again.
All right. 119 degrees, this guy out at the Florida Complex League closing game of the season for this year. We'll
Rough.
talk next week. Okay, buddy?
Yep. Thanks to everybody, by the way, for paying attention.
All right. And again, you can look at all his video on X at Eric_Birdland. We want to thank our sponsors, AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning and Plumbing, and Home Performance. We want to thank our friends at Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point, the new Atman's Deli at Harbor Point. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com, and they've got a bar where you can watch O's games. And when the Ravens start playing, you can get in there and watch the preseason games there. And we've also been brought to you by our good friends, the Triantafilos family that own the Costas Inn, one of Baltimore's finest dining experience. For Eric Garfield, I'm Stan the Fan, and we'll see you down the road a little bit.